Hi, I'm BryCox with BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com, and today I have with me Trajan King from InvincibleStartup.com, and we're going to talk about why good news is sometimes harder to believe than bad news. Before we get into that really quickly, check out my YouTube subscription, not his. Just check out my YouTube subscription and subscribe to that. Or if you're on Facebook, subscribe to my page. But also do Trajan's.
Yeah, I feel like yours is more important. So subscribe to Bry's video.
And his as well.
Or subscribe, whatever's below this video, please
whatever the button is, then
subscribe to it.
Okay. So yesterday I was listening to Michael Medved, and he was talking about why good news is harder to believe than bad news. And it was really interesting. I thought I'd make a great video for today. And particularly, he was talking about, say, like crime stats, news, things like that, like the fictitious 50% divorce rate, which people have been quoting for years. And for literally like for 10 years, he's been debating that and saying it's not true. It's never been true. It's never been close to 50%. It's been going down for 30 years.
Right.
But people just like, no, that's what it is, at 50%. I know what that is.
They want to believe the bad news.
Yeah. Or we talk about anything like crime's been going down for like 30 years. People are like, nope, epidemic of gun violence. That's what it is, epidemic. It's like, no, it's not.
It reminds me of the stories on the news you see a lot, especially on a station like Fox News. They'll take one story, like somebody got their feelings hurt and then they did something rash. And they make it a story like this is happening all over the country.
Yeah.
But no, it's just one story.
Yeah.
That then they're extrapolating in to make it seem like it's happening all over the country or all over the world.
Yeah.
And when I think about a journalist's job, what their job is to do, they've got to report on things. So they find the most sensational story, and they find it in a lot of different ways. Somebody might call them up and say, I've got a story for you, or they find it through contacts or whatever. They make that story and they have to turn it into something so it's entertaining.
Yeah, drama sells.
Drama does sell.
And now, I mean, you got so many channels. That's the idea, is that news has to push it. And so it's always like, something happening in this town. What is government doing about it? Or how does this affect you? And they're always, it's like, it doesn't actually. It doesn't
right,
affect
most
me.
of it doesn't.
Yeah.
So how does this relate to business?
So on my jog, I'm listening to this podcast of Michael Medved, and I thought this really applies a lot to, I think, photographers and business owners, because a lot of times I think people take the kind of the victim mentality in terms of, but you don't know my town, you don't know my business, everything's different, technology has changed, there's a gazillion photographers in my town, digital's changed everything, if we could just go back to the good old days.
Right, if I could go back in time when there wasn't as much going on, I could dominate. I could
there was no competition
so
back then. You don't get it. It's just hard, and that's why it's so hard for me.
The one thing that is missing there is, and it's the same as when you're watching the news, is personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So all those news stories, they say, what's the government going to do for you? Or is some company wronging you or whatever? It's never, what are you going to do for yourself? And what can you do for yourself for your company, which is why I don't really pay much attention to the competition. And I tell the startups that I'm working with to not really spend a lot of time and money doing in-depth research analysis about their competition, because it really doesn't matter. Yeah. All that stuff, you can save so much time and stress and energy if you just focus on executing the plan that you have for your business and serving your clients really well.
One time I was speaking, I want to say it was Iowa.
Then say it.
I think, and a friend of mine, a photographer there, her name's Lori Nordstrom, and she was kind of my, like wrangler in many sense. Like she was kind of pick me up, took me to the airport and back. Mm-hmm. And then before going back to the airport, she took me to see her studio. And I've known her for years just from speaking around. But she lives like this perfect little Mayberry town with like a town square with like a statue in the middle of the town and the little businesses that face this town square.
Sounds nice.
Perfect. And there was like sparse, like nobody around, farms as far as you could see. And she had a little studio, but there was like 3 other studios in that same area, in that same little square. And she was 3, 4, 5 times as much as everybody in the whole square.
Wow.
But she was killing it, where the other people would sometimes have to keep changing out. Somebody else would buy it, change. And I just felt like that was a really inspiring thing to literally see in person, that it doesn't really matter how many people are in your neighborhood, or People are like, I can't charge that much. You just don't know. My neighbors does this, and so does this, and that person does this, and that person does that. It's like, so what?
Yeah, not every business is price elastic.
Yeah.
Did I use the right term?
Yeah.
Where it's
economics.
Price sensitive, where you have to be making adjustments daily. Like you're not selling oil. You're not selling a commodity that people are price shopping a lot of times. And even if they do price shop, you might not want to be selling on price. We did a video of that, like 21 or 22 episode, where we talked about price sensitivity. But if that's what you want to focus on, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to battle on price to be the best Walmart.
Yeah, and then it has to be a conveyor belt system, because that's the idea of price. Is you're a McDonald's.
Right.
You have untrained labor basically pushing buttons, and really now they're replacing a lot of labor because of higher labor prices.
Yeah,
they're
machines.
replacing them with iPads and machines.
Right.
It's like you don't need a person for that kind of a business, where with photography, it's so custom and it's one-on-one. I really feel like the price has to be higher.
So I think that the point is to take personal responsibility for what you're doing in your business. Have a plan and then execute on the plan, and don't get distracted by what other people are doing that have nothing to do with your business. The economy doesn't affect your business. Maybe it might a little bit. Who is running for president or who gets elected isn't going to affect your business. The weather is not going to affect your business. There are a lot of things that have nothing to do with you and your business and the plan. So focus on your plan.
Yeah, there's been bad presidents in the past, and I did really well.
Right.
And it really just comes down to, what am I personally, the guy in the mirror, what am I doing marketing wise? What am I doing every day to just a little something good every day? What am I doing marketing wise? What am I doing to my clients for service, for greater products, for just better customization? So personal responsibility.
Be responsible for serving your client the best way you can, and you'll be more successful.
Awesome. All right. Again, check out our website. It's my website, BryCoxWORKSHOPS, BryCox, Workshops.com, and Trajan.
InvincibleStartup.com, a community for startups and those needing help with marketing.
All right. Until next time, America.
Ciao.